Well, magandang araw and welcome to Pacific Pathways, everybody, where we bring you real talk on trade, business, and community for Filipino Americans and Philippine businesses worldwide. Today's conversation is both timely and you could say it's close to home. We just celebrated Philippine Independence Day on June 12th. It's been 126 years since the Declaration of Freedom has been made by the Philippines. But even as we honor that freedom, many Filipino American families are now facing fresh waves of uncertainty with immigration enforcement and ICE operations increasing across the U.S. Let's take a moment to reflect on that a bit. So the question becomes, how do we protect not only our personal freedom, but also strengthen our communities economically during these challenging times? Let's dive into it. But before we do that, we do all that. I want to go ahead and do the Did You Know segment, and it's brought to you by Emporium, where Emporium's job is to create awareness and sales opportunities for Philippine-made products in the U.S. market. Did you know that Filipino immigrants now make up over 4 million of the US population? We're one of the largest Asian groups in America. And yet, Filipino-owned products remain a tiny fraction of what you see in American retail stores. Our products aren't fully represented like our Asian neighbors. And during periods of immigration, tensions like what we're seeing with ICE, immigrant owned businesses often experience consumer slowdowns because of fear and uncertainty. But history shows something powerful. When immigrant communities unite and support each other's business, they become economically resilient. I'm taking that information, and the source of that statement is from the US Census Bureau 2023, American Immigration Council 2024. All right. I'm not doing this all by my lonesome today. As always, I have a partner in crime, as they say. I also, this is a 30-minute, hard-hitting, just let's talk straight to the point podcast. It's called Pacific Pathways Podcast, and welcome to it. Please, again, with that being said, let me introduce my co-host for this episode of Pacific Pathways. That's a mouthful. Pacific Pathways Podcast. Please welcome Sammy Sotelo. Sammy, how are you, sir?
Good, man. How are you?
I am fantastic. Thank you so much, man. I'm glad we're doing another one. We're doing these every 2 weeks, and we looks like we've already got like 3 or 4 listening to us. Thank you so much, whoever you are that's watching. If you care to make a comment, we would really appreciate it. So thank you so much. Okay,
Hey, man,
Sammy.
before we get started, man,
Yeah.
belated Happy Father's Day.
Oh yeah, man! Happy Father's Day. I don't know what you did in your neck of the woods in North Carolina or South Carolina. I keep forgetting.
South
South
Carolina.
Carolina.
Yeah.
All right. So how was your celebration?
Man, it was great. We had, the boys and their wives. I got two sons, and their wives. We gathered at my younger son's house last night, and they cooked up some steak and some nice roasted veggies and it's just a really all-around great meal. And to top it off, we had homemade halo halo.
Ooh.
So that was a special treat last night, and that was a nice time.
I know what you're going to be doing the next couple of days. Just going ahead and working out, man. I know you try to take care of yourself. That's a lot of good food, bro. I mean, at the end of the day, for me, I almost had the same thing. I had pasta. I either you can say it's blessing or a curse to be in a family where not just the females. My brother-in-laws are amazing cooks. So okay, I know how that feels.
Oh yeah. Well, the good thing is you're right. The workout is a huge part of the regimen. So no negotiations. That's 5 days a week. My butt is in that gym, just burning off what I ate.
We're all going to do that. Again, I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I'm always acknowledging the people popping in, wondering what's happening. There's 2 people that popped into the studio, or rather listening to us now. Thank you so much for listening to us. You have just tuned in to Pacific Pathways Podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. All right. Why don't we go ahead and introduce you, my friend, and tell them a little bit about you, and then let's get right into it since we've only got 30 minutes.
Yeah, man. As I mentioned, I'm in the coffee space, and a little quick update on the coffee space, as a matter of fact, because of the increased demand on such a commodity, especially coming from the Philippines. There's a huge spike in robusta these days.
Wow.
And for those that are not familiar with robusta, there's four varieties of coffee. By the way, there's arabica, there's the liberica, excelsa, and robusta. So the robusta has been in the market for a very, very long time and hasn't quite reached the popularity of arabica. But as the coffee industry has been growing, the Philippines has been doing such an amazing job with robusta in terms of cultivating and practicing, proper farming techniques. And now on the world stage, it's very much, and Ron at Teofilo will attest to it, that robusta is very much in demand. So I'm very, very happy about that.
Well, we just got to get more people aware of it. People, use it and advertise it consistently, and we just got to create demands. And I'm sure the farmers will be more excited and start to create more room for that for their plantings or for their crops.
Yeah, and it's really a supply thing. We just want to bring in more. That's all we
Hmm.
need. We just need to bring in more. The demand's there, but we need to bring in more. So that's where our hopes are, especially for this year. I think 2025 is going to be a big year for us, for Philippine coffee. So
Well,
we're
I'm
looking
excited.
forward to it. But yeah, yeah,
I'm excited to hear that. And again, somebody just popped in again, Pacific Pathways podcast. You're listening to that right now, where we talk really straight talk because we only give ourselves 25 minutes to give our wisdom and golden nuggets and our perspective on unity, community, and the current situation happening in the well, at least for me in the LA area. And I know you're also from here, so you got a lot to. Say about that also. So go ahead.
yeah.
Throw it
Yeah,
back at
man. I mean, you mentioned the Philippine Independence weekend, and that was a huge thing, not only for our country, but also here in the United States, where we were able to celebrate that as our private communities do. Um, but it's just been an interesting weekend, man. Just with the timing of it all, when you say independence, it's really, for freedom, right? That's what the face of independence is freedom. But it's just so ironic that all this happened over the weekend, where these ICE raids and this immigration issue raiding. I know it's predominantly the Latino community, our brothers and sisters, I might add,
hmm
but we're not exempt in terms of culture, right? Because um, it's you know it's almost like a shoot first, ask questions later type of procedure from what they're doing, which is never a healthy thing.
hmm
Um, I'm not a political person. This is not a political show, as you know, right? If
We gotta
we but
clarify that. Yep.
yeah, yeah. But I tell you what, we are human, and as humans that exist in a culture such as the United States, I think we just have to be aware of what's happening around us and share some of these experiences. Just for example, the other day, you and I had a brief chat on the phone, and you're in your car. It reached you personally on a personal basis in terms of this whole protesting environment. So I'd love to be able to hear, a little bit about that when you actually drove through those protests, and what were they saying, and how did what was the impact to you?
A lot of things came to mind, but again, I just want to go ahead and say thank you for all those people just tuned in. We keep getting people popping in and out of the broadcast. I just want to acknowledge them. Thank you so much for doing that. And then to go back to your question, Sammy, my initial reaction was I was driving. I mean, I was telling you that I was in the process of helping my brother brother's friend go do some moving, and I just happened to drive past. I live in Rancho Cucamonga, and I drove past. I mean, this is the suburbs of Los Angeles, okay, about 45 minutes away from Los Angeles, and driving through it, my initial reaction was because I was preoccupied, I was tired, and then all of a sudden I looked up. I came into an intersection of this street called Haven, and it's funny how that's called, right? It's Haven. It's a Haven, the street, the main street of Rancho, and I saw so many people. Again, when you live in the suburbs, this is a lot of people. Everything is relative, but all I can see was that my initial reaction, just to see whether there were like thousands or hundreds, it doesn't matter. It could have just been, for all I know, hundreds. Maybe I'm just like blowing it up in my mind, but my initial reaction was like, I was excited. I actually wanted to park the car and maybe join them, but I couldn't because I'm on my way to what I had to do. But it was exciting. It was exciting in the way that there are people. Obviously, the first thing I noticed was, okay, were they all just one particular race? What age group? What nationality? All of that, right? I kept thinking to myself, why is it just like one particular group? But it was actually a mix: old, young, white, non-white. I thought maybe saw some Filipinos there too, but at the end of the day, for me, it was a variety. It was of people that were there, and they were all holding up signs. Obviously, the first most prominent one and most popular one is the "No Kings" kind of sign, and I don't know if I could say it, but F Ice was basically popular.
Yeah.
So F Ice was popular, and then somebody was a smart aleck. We know the only ice that I want is in my hollow hollow.
That guy was Filipino for sure.
You probably had to be Filipino.
For sure.
Anyway, thanks for asking, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I was just curious because where I'm at, there's the closest city to where I'm at is in Atlanta, so it's a good couple hours away. So I haven't had firsthand experience with that, but I'm just, what race through my mind just hearing you talk is, the questions of what comes out, because in contrast, of post pre ice and all these things, life was relatively okay in terms of people going to work and just trying to work on their immigration status. Life was normal as we knew it, but then this happened over the weekend, and I'm just curious. One of the questions I had was, how much of an impact has it had on the Filipino families that live in the U.S.? And do they feel threatened, do you think? And do you feel that they're changing their habits on a day-to-day basis? I would be normally doing this, but I'm forced to do this because of this. You know what I mean?
Yep.
How much has it changed the behavior, do you think?
I think just on what you hear on the radio, on TV or social media, newspaper, I think definitely people have made some adjustments of where they gather, where they go. Even if you tell me, yeah, nothing's going to happen, but you can't help it because you're always going to feel, now you really have to feel like you're going to look over your shoulder or something, or like the side of your eye, like your sight, and saying, oh, what's that? What's going on here? And that's a really ugly way to live your life, where you're always concerned what's going to happen. And as much as I want to say, no, they're not doing that, you can't help it. You can't help it. I know it's not a political show, and we might get into that because I'm not about that either, just like you. But I just go with my experience. As far as it definitely has changed, I think, people's habits of being anywhere. They have to think twice about it. Unless you haven't been watching the news, you can't help but think about it.
Yeah, it's just it's just exhausting.
Yep,
It's
exactly. That's a good word. That's a good
exhausting.
word. Exhausting.
That all this stress and all this just built up unnecessary burden of stress that puts it on people, and it's just exhausting, man. I mean, I'm tired of Republicans and I'm tired of Democrats. I really am. I'm tired of this whole it's
Oh
either
yeah.
you're blue or you're red. What the
Yep.
what the
I know
F,
I know you want to say F, so I don't know.
dude.
Maybe we should, right? But
I'm telling you, man, it's just nuts. And
yep.
To be honest with you, how many people actually, just voter general population, understand the values of either party? I mean, they get an idea of it, but I'm talking about in depth of the identity of who they really are, you know? So it's a very shallow understanding of either party.
Hmm.
I'm talking just as voter, just general base. But the thing is, the future is decided by either of these, and that's the sad part because then you get it to the extremism, which is even more. I mean, it's draining. You got the leftists and you got the rightists, and it's like they just hate each other, and it's just so sickening. You know what I freaking want, bro? You
Hmm.
know what I really really like is somebody, a party, to come down the middle. Just take the best of both sides. Don't even identify with either side, but just come from an organic state of being human. Honestly, man, it's kind of like the idea of having a third party. I know there's what was it?
Independence.
Yeah. I mean, those kind of buzzwords are kind of turnoffs,
Hmm.
because they've tried in the past. But I'm talking about just scraping aside all of that and just go right down the middle, coming from an organic place in the human spirit, and just
Hmm.
call it simply like I don't know, like a humanitarian party.
I
You
like
know,
it.
a centered, compassionate party that's very pragmatic, very concerned and prioritize human dignity, rational governments,
Again,
and non-extremist policy. You know what I mean? Something
well,
down the middle.
again, for people who are going to listen to this later down the line, because we're mortalizing our opinions here, let's be honest, is that we're both not political. We're just about make sense. It's about treating one another a certain way. And I think that if we were to put our opinions into sort of like that, I just want to make sure that people are understanding that we would call it that. I agree with you. Someone in the middle, someone who's just always thinking about the good and the bad of everything and putting that in consideration. It's got nothing to do with being, I think, wishy-washy or anything. It's just about thinking about humanity as a
Yeah,
whole,
exactly.
not like any agenda, I
Yeah,
guess. That's
I think
maybe that's naive on our part. I don't know.
we all want, in a general sense, the same thing, which is peace and prosperity and rule and law and order and doing things right. I think we all have that in common as humans, as Americans. But
Hmm.
I think it's like stupid when you got to pick one side or the other, you know?
Yeah.
And it'd be just great if one group of smart people just come through and say, hey, politics of the past is gone. I mean, who knows? Everything happens in life when it comes to a tipping point. So the question also would be, when would that tipping point, if ever, this humanitarian party could come to life? When would be the trigger? What would actually trigger? Is it this whole immigration thing, or is it economic? I don't know,
Well,
but there's going to be a tipping point somewhere down the road.
I'll end this segment with a comment on my part. I mean, I don't know how you want to continue that or end it. Is that to me, there's always opportunity in chaos, right? I mean, that could be a good thing and a bad thing. I think what's happening with our society, at least in the U.S., a lot of that people will consider. So, to your point, I wouldn't be surprised if that's already being in place, so to speak. And by the way, thank you again for the people that keeps popping in and out of this podcast. I do appreciate you, and I realize that some may just be checking it out for the first time. Thank you so much. Right now, 3 people just popped in, checking out at least the view of this. So I need to verbalize it and say thank you to the 3 people just popped into the podcast. Thank you so much. And you are listening to Pacific Pathways Podcast, where we talk real stuff, no shit. We try to just give our perspective and talk business and community and unity and what's happening and what's potentially disrupting all of that. Anyway, go ahead, Sammy.
Yeah, man. I mean, who knows? It could be a Filipino that's
Yeah,
leading
man.
this charge.
Yeah.
Somebody that's neutral. It's not no longer a black and white world. So I'd love to be able to see this this community uh, recognize a tipping point. And the only way you're going to identify a tipping point is if you proactively think about it. Nothing to do with violence, nothing to do with, not even honestly protesting. It's not that. It's just thinking ahead. Where exactly are the minds and the future of uh, the country's headed? So it's just more of that discussion. Again, it's only a discussion, and these are seeds for these things to grow.
Mhm.
And so as we plant these ideas out there, and it makes sense that people can look at things differently. You don't have to be a blue or a red. Yeah, could be, a far-fetched thing. I mean, Ross Perot tried to do it, but it's nonetheless, it's a dialogue,
I think I
and
think
it's evolving.
I think it should happen, even if it's just for pure awareness, not about grab for power. Because at the end of the day, if you listen or watch anything on social media, there's a shot about Republican, there's a shot about Democrats, and it's all good. I understand that, but with what this thing that you're talking about, there is going to be that because at the end of the day, people are going to want some sort of a compromise or something in the middle. That it's all about the agenda, it's all about humanity, how we all can try to live in peace, or
You
at
know,
least
you know, and it shouldn't come from a blue or a red. As a matter of fact, it should, the color should probably be purple.
yeah,
So
yeah,
that,
I know.
you know,
Polka
you know,
dots.
polka,
Polka dots,
polka
polka dots,
dots.
different
Yeah,
perspectives. Like
yeah,
everybody.
different perspectives.
Why not,
So,
man?
but yeah, man. I mean, as it comes back to our purpose, right? Because while all this is happening, so it's not going to stop immediately. As far as the near future, it's going to continue. These guys have, what do they quote? They quoted like a million something that came through the border within a couple years, something like that. I don't remember. So they're trying to catch up to that number to kind of address that and put quotas on these ICE officers. So that puts this stress on our community. But I think one of the things that would be healthy to put in people's mind and also think about is kind of like, now, maybe now's the time. Now's the time that we should just unify and support Philippine business more so
Yeah.
now. We should always do that, but maybe we should really, really be more supportive or cohesive in this whole thing in
Uh,
these current times.
Right now, we're going to need a lot more people guiding us and being together and providing empowerment and encouragement to one another. And I don't say that from a perspective of nationalities. I'm just talking about in general. But before I continue with that thought, I just wanted to add on and give you some statistics so at least the people will know that we did our homework in terms of stats, right? You asked me earlier how immigration and uncertainty impacts small businesses, right?
Yeah.
Let me just rattle this off. First, you've got your workforce fear, you've got your customer hesitation, which we said, you have your supply chain disruption. You also have your investment freeze, right? People are not going to invest if they're scared of what's happening. So here are some statistics that I thought might be interesting under that category. According to a 2023 study by the National Bureau of Economic Research, small businesses that rely on immigrant communities experience an average of 8 to 12% sales decline within 90 days of local immigration enforcement surges. In Southern California alone, over 43% of small businesses are immigrant owned. This came from the American Immigration Council 2024. When fear spreads, local business activity slows across entire neighborhoods. So again, that's what you asked me earlier, and that's how it affects it.
Yeah. And that's why I think we should really encourage folks, because it's happening, right? That's real stuff. But in order for us to not get caught and pushed on our heels, that we lean forward with it, that we do get online and support Philippine. We do go to that Philippine restaurant. We do purchase those Philippine products. One product per person, every single day, with 4 point something million of us in the United States, can make a real difference in moving that needle just where we want it to go, which is forward. It's
Yep.
not to the right, it's not to the left, it's forward. And that's where we want to push everything. And I'd hate to just to be, just words. These things, even for me, I'm personally going to make that commitment this whole week to do something in that light. There's not too many Filipino restaurants around here, to be honest with you, but I will drive. There's
Well,
yeah.
I know that in your spotlight, you're going to be talking about a restaurant. So I'm going to beat you to your segue. But I know that before we do that, I just want to go ahead and add another statistics that I think people should know about. This one is regarding the untapped buying power of Filipino Americans. After this, let's go ahead and spotlight our spotlight business of this episode. Now, here's some statistics that you might find interesting, sir. Filipino Americans represent over 4.4 million people in the US, right? With an estimated annual household income exceeding $130 billion. This is according to the Pew Research 2023. Yet, according to Nielsen data, Q data, only 2-3% of shelf space in US mainstream grocery stores feature Philippine products. That's kind of annoying, right? To a certain degree, now, because I'm promoting Philippine products. You see, we send billion homes through remittances, but to your point earlier, but what if we kept more of that wealth circulating through Philippine businesses here? That's how communities like the Korean Americans and Vietnamese Americans grow their business base really fast,
The
right?
Chinese, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. Well, I just wanted to go ahead and throw that out there, and maybe segue into your spotlight since we're coming into our, hour or half
I
hour.
love that, man. What that picture paints is our work that's cut out for us, in other words, right? Because in order for us, and I said it in a couple of podcasts ago, that in order for us to understand where we're headed, we have to know where we are, and that's where we are. So,
Mhm.
so we have to ask ourselves, do we want that needle to go further? Do you want it to go up? Well, let's do it. And we have to consciously do it. And I know that, everybody has their agendas, but if we have this common thing to say, hey, let's simply share our culture through products and support one another, I think we can get that much further than yesterday.
I
But,
agree.
do we have
Yeah,
an
man.
intro for this whole,
I still haven't gotten the sound effects, bro. So you're gonna have to do my own.
you're gonna have to, like, yeah, do one for
Yeah,
me.
that's
Go
that's,
ahead.
that's what we get. We don't have any budget, but I'll go ahead and do that. Put on some music while you're doing that. Okay, hold on. So go ahead and do your thing, man.
All right. So I'm really happy about this feature of this Philippine business. This segment is a feature on the business spotlight of a Philippine business in the United States. It's very random, and we just pick and choose to showcase and highlight these segments. It's brought to you by Cappy's Coffee Roasters, born and founded in Ponte Vedra, Capiz, Philippine business, now operating also in the United States. And you can visit cappiescoffeeroasters.com to place an order. So the featured business is actually in your neck of the woods, kinda. It's in Echo Park, in
Nice.
California. Yeah. And it's actually called the Park's Finest. So it's not much of a Filipino name, but it's very known in that community. And
Oh yeah.
yeah, so the Park's Finest is actually founded by a couple of couples, if I could say it that way. It's John Eric and Christine Concordia, and Mike and Anne Pahimula. I think I hope I got their last name right. But what it is, it's a Philippine-American Southern barbecue restaurant that started as a catering company back in 2009 and grew into a beloved neighborhood eatery in Echo Park. And I'm so happy about that because, when you say Philippine barbecue, you think of like street food back home, And exactly. And it's like I'd love to be able to visit them when next time I'm in LA. But they are the champions of comfort food with a Filipino twist. And their barbecue and beef ribs and babinka style cornbread are a fan favorites. And they're deeply rooted in community, and they're supported by the Asian Pacific Islanders Small Business Program. And they've ended up even on diners, drive-ins, and dives.
Oh yeah, I saw that segment.
So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, so kudos to you guys out there at the Echo Park's finest. Congratulations out there, and we look forward to tasting some of that yum down there. Uh, and I love it. So that segment is brought to you by Cappy's Coffee Roasters. You can order your coffee online.
Yeah, man. What's the website to order that online, bro?
The Cappy's Coffee Roasters is
Yep.
www.cappyscoffeeroasters, all one word.com.
Cool. All right.
Yeah.
This is where we start to say goodbye. It's 5:00 Pacific Standard Time. And again, thank you for the people that have come in and out of the podcast. And hopefully they'll listen to it again once we release it on Spotify. And before I sign off, we just want to tease the people that are coming. Well, in 2 weeks from now, we're going to have another guest. Her name is Linda P. Johnson. And Linda P. Johnson she's a Filipino-American. And she is a council member or council person in the city of Cerritos. And there's definitely a lot of Filipinos in Cerritos. And she's going to be with us to talk about whatever we think that would be appropriate, because for what we're trying to do, especially when a lot of her constituents or a lot of the people that she serves are obviously Filipino also, because there's a big population of Filipinos in the city of Cerritos. So with that being said, please, if you're a big fan of Linda, friends and families, please tune in 2 weeks from now. That'll be exactly June 30th. And let's go ahead and sign up. I mean, before I do my sign up, it's going to be a big, long sign up. You want to make a farewell comment there, Mr. Sammy?
Yeah, I appreciate that, because I'm looking forward to having her on the show, actually. Being based and rooted in Cerritos, as you mentioned, there's so many Filipinos out there. But I'd love to hear her firsthand information with regard to the stuff that we actually just talked about, right? Well, there's all these ICE issues and immigration and all that, but also just her like purpose in the Philippine community, and how, what her advice could be to help grow these products and services as well during these times. So that I'm looking forward to that, man.
Cool. All right. Well, with that being said, I always enjoy talking with you, my friend. We vibe off on many things, and we try not to be political, but at the same time, our heart and our minds are in trying to create more awareness for Philippine products. Not only that, but also unity and the Bayanihan spirit. So let me go ahead and sign off with my little speech here. So independence may have been declared in 1898. But interdependence is what will carry us forward in 2025 and beyond. By choosing to support Filipino-owned businesses, buying Philippine-made products, and building pathways for new entrepreneurs, we aren't just protecting jobs. We are protecting generations of Filipino resilience. Thank you for joining us today on Pacific Pathways, everybody. We really appreciate it. On behalf of Sammy and I, thank you so much. Pacific Pathways is where community meets commerce, and every conversation helps us move forward together. Until next time, let's keep building pathways that serve us all. Thank you, Sammy. I appreciate it, man. Have a good rest of the week, bro.
Likewise, Biba Humanitarian Party.
I love that. I am definitely going to put that in my mind and say, man, we got to put some sort of peace or some sort of middle ground. And if that's the answer, then it's all good, bro.
We're all human, brother.
All right, man. You take care.
Good stuff. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.